Talk about football.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the We Like Football podcast. I am Hayden Yarashunas. That's Andy Watkins. We have gone 2 weeks without a football game. That's no fun, but we could not stay away from our loyal We Like Football listeners, so we had to get an episode in here today. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, bud, I'm hanging in there. Thanks for having me. Just want to say good morning, afternoon, or evening to all of our fellow football likers out there. I've had a doozy of a past few days. So too has my old lady Amanda. Mere moments before Hayden and I intended on shooting this sode yesterday, she got in a car accident just down the road from us. Some asshat sideswiped her and pushed her off the road into a fire hydrant. I'm happy to report she's uninjured. Her car is going to be spending at least a week on the IR. The fire hydrant it hit looks like Chris Conti after Vance McDonald stiff-armed him off the face of the earth. So needless to say, it's been a tumultuous few days in Andyland. These cold, dreary, footballless dog days of winter aren't doing us any favors, but as they say, the show must go on. And in truth, this show helps me a lot. It's an outlet, a hobby, a budding passion, something I look forward to doing every week. So whether you're a new listener or one that's just tuning in, I just want to say, whether you're a new listener or one that's been tuning in since way back in 2020, I just want to express my gratitude. Thank you. I hope we make it worth your while. But we're not here for sappy platitudes or slappy patitudes. We're here to talk about pigskin. So let's jump right into it, buddy. What do you say?
I love slappy patitudes. Absolutely. Yep. Our shout out for today is going to go to Amanda and her vehicle. Glad she's okay. Hopefully the vehicle recovers nicely. Sorry to hear about the fire hydrant as well. Hopefully that recovers nicely as well. And shout out to Jerry's Pizzeria, which is right where the accident took place. Fantastic meatball pizza. One of my favorites in the Wyoming Valley. All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that's been going on in the realm of football since Super Bowl 55. To start off, and we're just going to kind of go through some of the topics from the last couple of weeks. So some of them are a little bit more current than others, but going to kind of throw our spin on it and what have you. To start kind of on a somber note, Vincent Jackson was found dead at 38 years old in a hotel room in Tampa Bay, believed to be dead for quite some time before he was actually found and pronounced dead. Vincent Jackson, really prolific receiver with the Buccaneers, had 540 receptions all time, played in 155 games, had 9,080 receiving yards, which is 63rd all time, 57 total touchdowns, which was 100th all time. Was also a 3-time Pro Bowl selection, right? Vincent Jackson, the player was awesome, but you hate to see somebody, pass away so young. You got to believe that, maybe it wasn't natural causes, maybe something else kind of played a factor, given that Vincent Jackson was only 38 years old. It is just a sad story, but kind of the way that we got to start this one off here.
Yeah, it is. That's kind of, I thought, appropriate to get it out of the way. It does need to be discussed, of course. Don't want to overlook VJax had an excellent career, as you mentioned. And just from the human perspective, it is interesting, and one can't help but wonder what happened. Like you said, you do have to surmise it's likely not natural causes. Vincent Jackson's recently retired. He's in his 30s, obviously in good health, was in good health, I should say, just a few years removed from his playing days. And interestingly, his family did request a welfare check on him just a few days prior to his being found dead, and the police did make contact with him then. But of course, there's nothing they could do. He's a grown man. He's free to do as he wishes. If he didn't want to come home to his family, that's certainly his right to do so. Sad RIP to VJax. And again, this is just another sterling reminder. No matter what he had going on, that mental health and player safety should continue to be prioritized even after guys are out of the league.
Yeah, certainly. And condolences to Vincent Jackson's family. We'll kind of keep an ear out to hear if anything else comes out about causes or what have you. But let's move on to some stuff that maybe isn't as doom and gloom. So again, it's been some time since we've recorded the last podcast. Since then, J.J. Watt has been released by the Houston Texans. Looking forward, right, a couple different places where he might end up landing. Some names that have been thrown around, some teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, the Cleveland Browns, and the Buffalo Bills at least have been floated out there. So, buddy, you got any thoughts on where JJ Watt's going to go? Anything appealing from those places? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think those four you named are the favorites that I've seen over and over again. They all do make sense in that they were all playoff teams last year, so should offer at least some semblance of contender status, which should entice JJ Watt, of course. Obviously, I'm hopeful that he might land with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm hopeful that'll take, $2 or $3 million to do it, which is highly, highly unlikely. But Pittsburgh, for the sentimental reasons, of course, has to be a favorite. He would join his brothers, TJ and Derek Watt. His two younger siblings, TJ and Derek, they played together both in high school and in college at Wisconsin. JJ's a few years older. He missed them both times. In his early 30s, one would think that if it's ever going to happen, now's the chance. It's a rare opportunity he has there going to Pittsburgh, and pending some moves, maybe I'm being overly optimistic because the general public doesn't seem to like their odds next year. I think they are still the team that started 11-0, and with the right moves, could be a contender again. So I do think they'll be enticing for JJ. The Green Bay Packers, of course, you mentioned another team should be enticing as well. Certainly more of a contender than Pittsburgh. They were in the last two NFC title games. JJ Watt is a Wisconsin native and grew up a Green Bay Packers fan. Anyone would want to play with Aaron Rodgers, and that may be his real best shot at a title. So I think that's another one. How about a couple of the more dark horse teams I've been seeing? Will you tell me a little about them?
Yeah, so we also had Cleveland and Buffalo. Pairing JJ Watt in Cleveland with Myles Garrett would certainly be terrifying on that defensive line. Of course, you're not going to kind of accuse him of like front running or like with maybe the Packers, going to a place where you're going to try to win now with a team that's already kind of fully loaded, so to speak, right? Cleveland might be JJ Watt's idea of blazing his own path. And it is a young, fun team, right? They have turned things around. They won a playoff game last year. So it would be interesting to see him in Cleveland. Likewise, Buffalo, kind of the same scenario. Buffalo is one of the better teams in the AFC, as well as probably contending for that AFC championship game again this year, kind of like they were in last year. So that would be fun to see as well. Pair JJ Watt with some tables, let him jump off an RV here and there. Toss it in his contract that'll be covered by his insurance, and that should be some fun as well. To circle back to Pittsburgh, it would be fun to see JJ with his two younger brothers. Subway would have a freaking field day with that, with their commercials, right? They would load up in Pittsburgh. Green Bay would be cool to see as well, I think. But yeah, going to be interesting to see where he ultimately ends up, right?
I mean, I again biased here as Andy Watkins. I'm hoping he winds up in Pittsburgh, so I can get a Watt jersey and slap a Kins on the back of it. Or maybe change my name to Double T. I don't know. I'm just a thought. Don't mind me. I'm just waking up here. Anyhow, we'll jump into another guy who will definitely not be playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. Maurkice Pouncey, hanging him up. Pouncey retires with 9 Pro Bowl honors, 5 All-Pro teams. Obviously, a tremendous career. Maurkice Pouncey was phenomenal athlete at the center position. Few teams have the advantage of being able to pull a center in the run game. It's something Pittsburgh did with regularity. He was a captain on that team for years. Maurkice Pouncey, I'll never forget going after Myles Garrett, of course, with the Mason Rudolph helmet swinging incident. And there was several other instances where Maurkice Pouncey was having his teammates back with the likes of Vontaze Burfict and Pac-Man Jones, etc. So another player near and dear to my heart. Sad to see him go. It's a big loss for Pittsburgh. Pouncey wasn't necessarily the same high caliber starter in 2020 that he had been in years prior. But even at his worst, he was still a starting caliber offensive lineman. That's a big hole in the middle of Pittsburgh's O-line. There's nobody on the roster to fill it. The only true center is J.C. Hasenauer. You know it's bad when I have a hard time pronouncing a Steelers name. Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala, for instance. Hasenauer, Hasenhuser, whatever you say. I don't know. Not very good to
The who's or what's it, of course. The who's or what's it, yeah, for sure.
As for Maurkice Pouncey, I am left to wonder, is he a Hall of Famer? Some have been projecting that. I mentioned his accolades with 9 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pro teams, nothing to sneeze at. But only 20 interior linemen have been selected to the Pro Bowl in the last 3 decades, and that includes 5 centers. Some recent great inductees like Alan Faneca, Kevin Mawai, Steve Hutchinson, right? Those guys all kind of came up while we were younger and really just getting into football. So we actually remember them. And personally, I think of all those guys as being a tier above Maurkice Pouncey. So for me, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's all very good.
Yeah, I could kind of agree with that. And you mentioned, right, like even if he is in that Hall of Fame conversation, he's not walking in. Interior linemen just don't tend to do that. That's not what goes on in Canton, right? We just saw Alan Faneca after, I believe it was 5 years this year, be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So certainly not going to walk in, might not be a Hall of Famer, but certainly a career that's nothing to scoff at. You talk about the 9 Pro Bowls and the 5 All Pros. I love that you went right to the Myles Garrett incident. That was the first place that I went, seeing him try to stomp out Myles Garrett after that dude took a swing at Mason Rudolph with his helmet. That was kind of the first place that I went as well. And as an offensive line guy in my heart, talking about pulling centers, it's something that you don't understand how valuable it is unless you have somebody who can do it. It opens up so many other things in your run game when you don't have to just pull a guard, when you can get away with pulling that center. It takes a hell of a lot of athleticism to be able to snap and then pull. I know that might not be something that the general public thinks about, but it is certainly something that takes a lot of athleticism. Kudos to Maurkice Pouncey for having an awesome career. Certainly fun to watch for a long time for us. For us offensive line guys. Yeah. Somebody who is not an offensive lineman and who is also not going to be returning with his team is DeSean Jackson. Buddy, tell us about DeSean Jackson.
Yep. So another Keystone great player, DeSean Jackson. His second stint in Philadelphia is over, and to be honest, it was mostly a dud. 2 seasons, 8 games, 23 catches, 395 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really not much to speak of. And as we've seen more recently, Alshon Jeffrey is expected to be showing the door soon. To me, it's overall representative of a regime change in Philly. Not one we were unaware of, obviously, with the Carson Wentz move, which we're going to jump to next. Rumors of Zach Ertz being shown the door soon. Philly is this is a full-scale rebuild. DeSean Jackson is just another piece of that. And it makes sense. He's a veteran guy. They're not in win-now mode, and he can't give them much at the moment. They're better off trying to draft and develop young receivers. As for DeSean Jackson, it will be interesting to see where he lands. I kind of expect that he'll wind up on one of the Super Bowl qualifiers from this past season. So either that means he'll wind up in Kansas City, reunited with Andy Reid, and of course he would give the Kansas City Chiefs some much-needed speed.
Yep, they're going to need that. They're definitely going to need that. They're slow at the receiver position. That'd be nice for them to get somebody who could take the top off of defense.
Hear me out. Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, DeSean Jackson in the 4x4 relay event. Who's beating them?
Send them to Japan, man. Let them compete in the Olympics. I'm with it.
Obviously, I kind of teased this already, but if not in Kansas City, then maybe he'll go back to Tampa Bay, where to be honest, I forgot he ever even played. But it just seems to kind of make sense because Tom Brady is seemingly intent on getting Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, LaShawn McCoy, Gerald McCoy, Hatfield and McCoy, Jeremy Maclin, and Ndamukong Suh, Warren Sapp, Rondé Barber, Tiki Barber, my barber, who's actually just my mom, Michael Strahan, hey Linda, Kelly Ripa, and the rest of the 2014 Pro Bowl team to a few more Super Bowls. So
it's amazing how they make like salary cap just not even look like an issue. They have anybody they want. They could bring all those dudes back. I love the names like Jeremy Maclin, Hatfield, and McCoy. Tiki and Rondé Barber, of course, just kind of coming back. Why the hell not? Yeah, no. I mean, DeSean Jackson would be a solid addition in Tampa Bay. It does seem kind of like that kind of situation, right? In sort of win now type mode. DeSean could give you something for a year or two. And you know, be valuable in that way. It does also kind of seem like an Andy Reid Kansas City Chiefs type of move as well. They are known to give guys second chances, to kind of put it in a nice way. So, DeSean Jackson has had some character issues in the past, and obviously is very familiar with Andy Reid from his time in Philadelphia. Certainly, his second stint with Philadelphia was a dud. He and Alshon Jeffrey got paid a lot of money to hang out on the sidelines. So, yeah, this is going to be a rebuilding year for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're burning it down. They are collecting the insurance money. And part of that comes with trading quarterback Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was traded last week to the Indianapolis Colts. The Eagles end up receiving a third-round pick in 2021. That would be pick 85 of this upcoming draft. They also have a conditional second-round pick in 2022 that will become a first-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the Colts' offensive snaps, or if he plays 70% of the offensive snaps and the Colts make the Super Bowl. So it is almost time for my victory lap. We will pay attention to if Carson Wentz could stay healthy and start for at least 75% of the season so that I can skip around the room. The Eagles notably take the largest cap hit in dead money in NFL history, $33.8 million. Not ideal. And of course, Carson Wentz is reuniting with Frank Reich in Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. From an Eagles fan's perspective, I'm glad that it's over. The bed was already made. The Eagles had to lie in it. They chose to gamble and give Carson Wentz an extension early to try to kind of beat the market so that the market wasn't driven up and save themselves a couple bucks later on down the road. It backfired. It didn't work, but they were already in that much debt. You take kind of what you can get, right? Last year, Carson Wentz was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League. So to get a third-round pick and what probably is going to be a first-round pick, assuming, he has stayed healthy the last 2 years, so that would have made this a first-round pick if it was conditional the last 2 years. So to get that kind of return, again, it's not great. I'm not going to say Ray Ra, Howie Roseman, great job, you're the man. He still put them in that position. But for what it's worth, they got compensation for a quarterback who last year was horrendous.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see how he fares in Indianapolis, obviously with Frank Reich, with a much better offensive line and really supporting cast altogether. His ceiling certainly still is higher than Phillip Rivers, so you do have to like this move from the Colts' perspective. And obviously, the Eagles are getting the best return they probably can. They held out for quite a while after Wentz was put on the block, so to get 2 day 2 picks at worst is not a bad haul. Like we mentioned previously, they're not competing for anything this year, so the cap hit, while it does loom large, not too much of a factor in at least in the big picture. Other quarterback news I did want to note here, not in the NFL, actually in the FCF.
Of course.
Which, okay, FCF here. I had no clue what this was. FCF is the fan-controlled football. I want to say league, but there's no L here. So FCF is the whole name. Fan-controlled football. Johnny Manziel is playing in FCF. It's an indoor league, 7-on-7. There's 4 teams right now. It's based in Duluth, Georgia. These games are broadcast on Twitch and are interactive with the fans. What that means is they get to call the plays, sort of. Fans are given 4 run and 4 pass plays to choose from. I've not partaken. I don't know the particulars. Maybe if I happen to get a sec, I'll check it out. To be honest, though, if I were able to call the plays myself, I would just run fullback dive over and over and over again. Never go wrong. As for Johnny Manziel, again, he plays for the Zappers, currently 0-2. He went 1 for 5 passing in his Zappers debut, but he did run for 68 yards and a touch. Supposedly, he recently told the USA Today that he joined this league out of boredom and was not seriously entertaining a return to professional football. I don't know if he's telling the truth. I find myself wondering if this is the highest profile league he can get in at the moment. To be honest, I did check this out. There are some big names affiliated with it. I believe Marshawn Lynch was among them. One of Migos, maybe Quavo, but I don't know. They all kind of blend together for me. Quavo, Offset, Takeoff. They're all great, but I could not pick them out of a crowd.
Not even a little bit, man. Not even a little bit. No, yeah. So this is kind of taking the place of like old arena football. I have seen a little bit of it just on the internet. It's interesting to say the least. Like you mentioned, a 7-on-7 league. I don't know how much I buy that Johnny Manziel is just doing it for boredom or for love of the game, so to speak, or what have you. Generally speaking, you try to make a move like this to get back someplace to playing at a higher level, whether that is the league, whether that's in Canada, overseas, whether that's the XFL, what have you, just trying to use that as a propeller. I was trying to look up how much the FCF players get paid. It looks like I have no idea how on point this is, because this is from flurrysports.org. So take it with a grain of salt. Do what you want with it. Take it with a grain of salt. It says they make a minimum of $400 to $750 plus room and board a week. So $1,600 to $3,000 a month. I have no idea. Reach out to Flurry Sports, look it up if you want to check it out. But yeah, no, interesting for Johnny Manziel. The league does look kind of fun. I don't know how the fan controlled plays are gonna work out. There actually is a quarterback who went to one of the high schools in the county that I coach in, who's in that league right now. So I've seen him sort of train for it. So I kind of knew about this before, like Johnny Manziel joined it, and then when he joined it, I was like, oh man, okay, maybe it's worth watching. Although I have not watched it yet. So we'll keep an eye on Johnny Manziel and of course the Zappers.
Yeah, so you were in it from the ground floor, so to speak. Hey, I guess I mean, it's better than where he was, before his last failed football attempt. We were, seeing concerning stories about his well-being. His drug use obviously was well publicized. I'm not breaking new ground by mentioning that. So it's good to see him making an effort. Hopefully, this keeps him on the right track. Maybe it is nothing more than a distraction. We all have our hobbies, but I don't want to get too off topic. Another quarterback had an interesting interaction with a camper recently.
Yeah. So this came out, I believe, this week. Cam Newton was hosting a 7-on-7 camp, or running a 7-on-7 camp, or what have you. Had an exchange with a student athlete that kind of came out. The kid, from what the video looks like, the kid started it by calling Cam ass and saying that he was a free agent, chirping at Cam, trying to get under his skin. Cam, of course, then responded with, I'm rich. And where's your daddy? I should be talking to your daddy, not you. So you could kind of see where it was heading, right? So they argue a little bit, and then Cam tries to kind of turn it around a little bit, make it a little bit more of a positive interaction, and says, what did you do today? When did you play? When do you play next? Like, I want to see you play. He asks the kid's friends if the kid can ball and what have you. And the kid, of course, responds with, if you want to see me, you can catch me on YouTube.
I saw that.
It was very much a high school kid exchange. Look, if I'm Cam Newton, I don't know what you're doing getting into that kind of thing with the kid. I get it. The kid did call him ass, and it is Cam's camp. I saw some folks on the internet say, well, Cam should have just kicked him out. That's Cam's camp. Yeah, but the point of the camp is to have kids at it, right? You want the kids there. You start throwing kids out, the atmosphere is not great. It honestly, it's easy for me to say because I wasn't in this situation, but it's probably easier to just take the high road, keep it moving, say something and keep it moving, maybe not turn it into the viral spectacle that it ended up transpiring into. What'd you think about it?
See, I think I mostly disagree. At 28, some folks would probably say I'm still a young asshole, but however old that kid is, 16, 17, I'm not that far removed that I don't remember being that teenage asshole that probably needed somebody to set him straight the same way that Cam did to this kid. I'm rich. Where's your daddy? All time. Excellent job, Cam. That's the MVP level Cam Newton we need to see more of. And I did see plenty of players getting behind Cam on Twitter and the likes and saying that kid overstepped. Now, I don't think that he should be made to be this pariah, this villain. You know, he's a cocky kid who's 16 years old on top of the world like any other. He thinks he's Cam Newton. He's not, but he doesn't know any better.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the kid did come out and issue an apology. He typed up an apology and put it on the internet. ESPN and Sports Center retweeted it, shared it. So, you know, I mean, all's well that ends well. Yeah, I'm rich. Where's your daddy? What I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what you say afterwards. Like, how it doesn't just stop there and everybody's just like, well, shit, Cam won. Okay, well, that one's over. No, but man, that's that's the extent of pretty much what happened since we talked to you guys last after Super Bowl 55. We might as well kick it off 4 down territory and then put a bow on her for today. I like this first one. I want to read this first one. So talked about JJ Watt possibly reuniting with his brothers TJ and Derek in Pittsburgh. So a brother fight to the death, which we are not endorsing, we are not championing. But who wins in a brothers fight to the death? JJ, TJ, Derek.
You know, I like to start by saying I'd like to see the Vegas odds on this. I wonder, I feel like you probably agree with me. I guess you'd think JJ as the favorite, given his credentials, his physical stature. Obviously, he's the biggest and strongest. TJ, like the order you listed them in and the order of their star power, JJ, TJ, Derek, would probably be the order they'd be favored in. TJ, obviously, is probably the best athlete. His explosiveness is bar none. And you've probably seen, like I have plenty of times, his punch and move. It's very aggressive. I swear to God, he punched RG3 right in the gut last year. Like it straight up looked painful. So TJ would probably be the second favorite. Derek, scrappy underdog, the fullback, the cowboy collar, the lunch pail guy. He's actually the guy I'm going with. Derek Watt has flown under the radar. I think he's got something to prove. I think he's coming in here with a vengeance, and I think he's taking it to both JJ and TJ. Give me Derek Watt.
I freaking love it when we agree, dude. You got to be some kind of crazy to play fullback. There is not a whole lot. You might get a bone here and there. They might throw you the ball in the flat every so often, but your job is to just go run through people, just go annihilate people. You have no regard for your physical well-being, right? I think Derek kind of brings that and could come out and surprise some folks. You mentioned JJ is the biggest and the strongest. However, growing up in a house with TJ and Derek, they probably know his weaknesses, and JJ, of course, has been hurt quite a bit. You wouldn't want to see it get to that ugly point, but it is, of course, a brothers fight to the death. So, you know, there are no holds that would be barred, right? So, you know, I'm taking Derek as well. And then TJ and JJ, I don't know, they could fight it out amongst themselves, but Derek's got to be a crazy dude.
I mean, they're making all the money. Derek's got to get something. Maybe I like the underdog story. Give me Derek Watt every time. Second one here for you, second down. Not in a fight perspective, just your preference. Which character do you prefer? Carter Pewterschmidt, who of course is Lois Griffin's father, a Family Guy, or Randy Marsh of South Park fame?
Yeah. I didn't know where we were taking this. I didn't know if it was going to be a fight to the death or anything. I just as far as characters go, I am a fan, more so a Family Guy, I think, than South Park. I've certainly watched Family Guy more over the years than I have South Park. So I'm just going to go with Carter Pewterschmidt for that reason. There are some funny parts with him in it. Obviously not one of the like main characters in the nuclear family, but one that's used quite a bit. Randy Marsh might be used more so in South Park than Carter Pewterschmidt is in Family Guy. I mean, he has quotable moments too. Yeah, I'm going to take Carter Pewterschmidt for no good reason at all.
You know what? I put this in here because, again, I agree. It seems unlikely Carter Pewterschmidt is more of a bit character, but he is gut-bustingly hilarious when he shows up and calls Babs Pussy Cup, or when he has his old man nudity moments. Don't get me wrong, Randy Marsh is a crowd pleaser, sentimental favorite, and deservedly so. But I put Carter Pewterschmidt here because I think he is criminally underrated in the realm of animated comedy, and it's time we give him his due. Third down, fittingly, who would you be more willing to trade 3 first-round picks for? 32-year-old Russell Wilson or 25-year-old Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I know I went with the age in the previous question. I'm not doing that with this one. This seems like it's a no-brainer to me. Deshaun Watson is as physically gifted as Russell Wilson, maybe more so physically gifted with his talents. He's only 25 years old. You think that he would give you maybe more time, although Russell Wilson's not really slowing down. I don't have anything against Russell Wilson, but I think Deshaun Watson. However, I don't know if maybe like 3 firsts gets Deshaun Watson. You've seen kind of the reports that have come out of what Houston wants for Deshaun Watson. So Russell Wilson, if you are a team that's like buying for one of these dudes, Russell Wilson honestly might be a little bit cheaper, right? So that might play into it. But just for me personally, if who I'm more willing to trade 3 first-round picks with, I would go with Deshaun Watson based off of age pretty much as a determining factor.
Yeah, I should have had clarity to that. I guess that's more of a starting point because that is kind of what we've seen. And if Matt Stafford is worth 2, then it would kind of stand to reason that both of these guys would be worth 3 plus. I'm gonna go opposite here. Thankfully, we got to be different somewhere. Russell Wilson at 32 for me. I think he's right in that sweet spot where he's kind of he is smack dab in the middle of his prime. By all accounts, he keeps himself in tremendous shape. Quarterbacks are playing for longer and longer. I know he's more of an athletic running quarterback, but as far as those types go, we haven't seen anyone protect themselves as well as Russell Wilson. He's great at getting down before contact or getting out of bounds. And I think he's more proven as a winner than Deshaun Watson. Part of that is the team around him, of course. But Russell Wilson is a proven commodity, playoffs year after year. I think with Russell Wilson, I'm set up for success for at least probably the next 8 years. And just given his career accolades to this point, I'm choosing veteran leadership over youthful promise.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And Tom Brady kind of keeps resetting the market with just continuing to play forever and ever and ever. But we do see older quarterbacks still doing it as well. So, yeah, no, there's no reason to think that he's going to hang it up right away. Yeah, again, I don't think you can go wrong shooting for either of these guys. Let's wrap it up with something that is fun. And, of course, we're going to talk about food because, why the hell wouldn't we talk about food? This is We Like Football, of course, right? So the best fast food nuggets. I had a couple that I was thinking of, man. So I'm gonna just start and say the cop out answer and say Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A's nuggets are freaking dope. Chick-fil-A's chicken itself is dope. I had a conversation with one of our We Like Football listeners over the weekend about Chick-fil-A and their stance on a lot of things morally and how the company might not, align with everybody's values and things like that. They make damn good chicken. I'm not going to boycott them over who they are as people. I'm sure the owner of Chick-fil-A is not preparing my nuggets, so I'm taking Chick-fil-A's nuggets. And then in a second, because I had to throw another one in here, Wendy's is up there for me as well. They took away the old honey mustard. Their old honey mustard was so freaking good, but their chicken nuggets are still phenomenal. So I'm taking Chick-fil-A and Wendy's for these nuggets.
I respect both your choices. They slap. I do want to piggyback off your Chick-fil-A comment and note that I too sometimes am not of that great moral character. I will go get Chick-fil-A. I don't know that Ben Roethlisberger is a great person. I like to think he's reformed, but he certainly had his moments early in his career. But I've been saying for the last 12 years, as long as he can throw a mean football, I'll still root for him. Sometimes it is what it is. So Chick-fil-A, keep making those slapping nuggets. We forgive you. But my choice is actually McDonald's. They're always so crispy, so juicy, so tender, and those dipping sauces, buddy. They got the ranch, the sweet and sour, the buffalo. McDonald's has the best sauce options for your nugs. I will say that till I'm cold and dead.
Wow, even over Chick-fil-A sauce. I'm with it. I love the sauces. They do have a new spicy sauce as well. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right, anything else for the folks before we get out of here, man?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We like football.
We like football.